Sweet guys. So this workshop today is going to cover a really interesting that first learned about through Nick, who you can see on video, and then he taught it to then another guy, Landon, and then a few other people, and they've just seen incredible results. And we call it the newsletter strategy. And essentially, what this is if you pull the data and you send a cold email, um, usually you'll get a fairly decent response, but remember it's still a cold email. So what this strategy is it's more about leading with value and actually building a newsletter. And this works both for B2B and B2C. So I'll let Nick kind of take the reins, but basically, yeah, this guy's been taking in-market data and then forming newsletters. And it's super impressive. And Nick Landon, actually, who you showed this strategy to, he actually just sold one of his newsletters 2 weeks ago.
Good question. I don't know, because I don't know.
What time did things start?
That's why I wanted to go and find parking. It's done if I listen.
Anyway, all right. So Nick, take it away, man. I'll basically let you share screen and just kind of go through your strategy.
Sweet. Hey guys, what I'm going to show you is it's just one of the things I thought of when you're getting audiences from AudienceLab. I thought about it a bit like property. Like you buy raw property and you go, I can sell that raw property, but what can I do to increase the value of the property so I can sell it for more? And that's how I kind of thought about what could I do with the audiences that I had access to? And so we decided to do newsletters because I've done them before. The other thing I want to point out with my particular strategy here is that the newsletters that I've set up aren't actually under my main brand or the main brand of the people doing it. And so the concept is kind of owned media. So you're building up a newsletter that isn't your brand necessarily, but it's a third party that people are engaged with. And then you can obviously promote your brand as a third party, but it opens up the door for you to promote other things that maybe your brand couldn't promote. It wouldn't make sense for your brand to promote. So other affiliate types of commissions or things, or boosting posts or getting sponsors into your newsletter. So anyway, that's the kind of strategy with it. And also just out of the gate, when I first looked at this, I did what everyone does when they see dollar bills in their eyes, right? And it's like, wow, I can get all these audiences. Surely I can just start doing bulk emails to heaps of people. And I tried to go down that route. I set myself up with an Amazon web server. I bought an email platform and tried to do all that. And only by speaking to industry veterans did I find out I was probably going to get all my domains banned inside of a week of sending with the plan I had. So I went the other way and I created quite a long, relatively longer type of value funnel so that the people popping out the end onto my newsletter I knew were highly engaged. And so my kind of theory was, how do I get someone who's completely cold at all, because I've got the audience from, like, they've got intent because it's an AudienceLab's audience, but how do I turn them into a highly engaged newsletter subscriber? And how do I not piss off all the internet service providers and trigger all the flags along the way so that they get there and there's very low spam rates and there's high open rates and that kind of thing. So this is a strategy I went with, an experiment, and it worked. Maybe there's a shorter, easier way to do it than even what I'm going to show today, but at least I just want to show you what worked for us and what is working for us. So let me just see if I can share my screen here. Actually, share screen, desktop to this one. So can I just, Adam, are you seeing my screen, which is just says the strategy overview, or are you seeing something else?
I can see it.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So basically, this is the strategy, just to walk you through it at a top level first, and then I am going to go into the details of how we do it all. So essentially, we start with AudienceLab. And what I was doing at the time was I would take that audience and I ran it through another verification service just to get rid of hard bounces, syntax errors, that kind of thing. So that's what I did at the time. And then once I had that list that was as clean as possible, I could possibly make it, I then uploaded it to Instantly, which is the cold emailer service that I used, but there's others around that you can use, but I used Instantly. So all my screenshots will be of that. And if you don't know Instantly, what that is, it's not a bulk email sender like MailChimp or Aweber or Constant Contact or whatever, you hook up your own Google email accounts to it, your own email senders, and you're only sending out one email at a time. It doesn't go out as a batch. And so it's really like every single person is being emailed personally from an email account. And that is the way these cold emailers differ from like a standard email service provider. So anyway, that's what Instantly did. And the way I decided to do it, we tried a number of different campaigns, but the one that worked best for us, I'll show you. We actually sent people in that first email that we sent out, we sent them to a survey. And I will show you the email that we used, but essentially the survey, we kind of positioned ourselves as, hey, we're doing research. It was about a topic, obviously, that related to the audience we downloaded from AudienceLab. So it was all in context, right? We'd love to know your feedback. Here's why, here's what we're looking at. We made it really personable. And we said, if you would like a link to the survey, please respond and let us know, and we'll send the link over to you. So the first email didn't actually have a link, which was a click here to go to the survey. The reason I did that was when I was speaking to some cold email specialists, they told me putting the link in the first email that you send out is more likely to get it caught up in spam traps or whatever. So I went with their advice, and that's why I did the email that way. But we did include one link in that email, and it actually got results. And I'll show you that link a little bit later where we put it. So then what would happen is the next day they would get a reminder email about the survey. And what we did actually in both these emails, what we did was we said, to thank you for filling out the survey, we're going to give you a free subscription to a newsletter where the subscription is $240 a year. So it was like a thank you, and it was letting them know straight out of the gate that there is a newsletter that they're going to get access to if they fill in the survey. So just making them aware of the fact there is a newsletter coming. And then we would send out a third email. And what we did in the second and third email, we actually included some content from the newsletter. So we reminded them about the survey, and then we said, by the way, you're going to get access to this newsletter for free if you fill it out as a thank you. Here's an example of something. And then we would teach them something in the email that was from the newsletter. So they were long emails, and they were educational based emails. So that's what we did. So they got 3 emails all through the cold emailer. Now, what would happen is at the end of like every day, people were obviously going through the sequence. And when someone had completed the sequence, that meant they'd received all 3 emails, and they'd opened at least one email and they hadn't unsubscribed, we considered them to be now engaged. Because if someone's seeing 3 emails pop into their inbox, they've opened one and they haven't got annoyed by it and clicked and unsubscribed, our rationale was they're kind of at least now somewhat warmed up. We would then get that list, download it from Instantly as a CSV file, and then we would, by a webhook, port it across to the newsletter service that we use. Now, there's different places you can send. We used Beehive. That's actually spelled incorrect. It should be it's BEEHIV. It's not Beehive spelled that way. It got auto-corrected. But we use Beehive, and the reason we chose that was that Beehive has a whole lot of monetization features built into it that make it easy and quick for you to monetize the newsletter. So because there's a lot of other people with their newsletters on Beehive, there's an ecosystem inside Beehive where you can boost other people's newsletters. So you can just literally with a widget, you can grab it and go, I'm going to recommend someone else's newsletter. And if someone clicks on that link and goes and joins the other person's newsletter, you get paid a commission. So it wasn't like I was using the monetization in Beehive to make me the money. I was really using it to cover the costs of the whole thing. And so that's why we chose to go with Beehive as opposed to doing it through our own mailer, which didn't have that monetization built in. Now, when we first did it, we were just having to send people the newsletter straight away, and that was good. But since they introduced a new feature where you could now send a welcome email to a segment of people. So all new people can get a welcome email. And then once they've got that welcome email, then we kind of drop them into the big audience, which is the newsletter. And then we were, sending out the newsletter weekly. You could do, as many times as you want. You could do it monthly. You could do it 3 times a week, 5 times a week, whatever you want to do. But that obviously becomes a cost and a time thing, depending on how much newsletter content you want to send out. So that's the general flow of how we took someone from AudienceLab right up in the top left, all the way down to them being a highly engaged audience in a newsletter. So did all that effort pay off? So here's where we are now. So we've got 30,000 subscribers who have come through by doing this process, right? And if we have a look at it, this is just a thing from the top. You can see the open rate. It's just from the dashboard, the open rate, 65.8%. It was the open rate. Now we have to take into account that Apple iPhones are now kind of saying everyone who lands in the Apple inbox isn't open. So that's an inflated open rate. So I don't want to say we're getting 65.8. It's probably more around 40 or something like that if you discount that and make a guess of what it is. But the thing is, it's not 20%, right? This is people who are opening it up. And if you have a look just at the top posts that are listed there, you know, that top one there, how to get rid of those pesky sugar cravings, 71% open rate. Values and goals, 70% open rate. So, you know, we're testing different content and different headlines, and it's got, Beehive has got kind of A/B split tests and all that kind of stuff built into it. So you can try and make sure you get the best opens, but that's a slightly different topic, right? So just to show you, there we go. We've sent almost 1 million emails. And in total of people opening the newsletter, we got 660,000 opens, which is pretty cool. Here's another one that we've done that's a smaller one. This is more up to about 4,500 subscribers right now. And on this one, we're getting a lower open rate. You can see it's only 47%, not the 65, but still a good open rate. And you can see it's been higher. If you look at those top posts, we've had a 52%, a 50%, but it's kind of hanging around that kind of mark. You know, here's the other really cool thing I wanted to show you. So this is the new welcome email that Beehive have introduced that all new people who get the email get added to the newsletter. This triggers automatically. So I want you to think this is people who've come through AudienceLab. They've gone through a 3-part email sequence over an Instantly, and then they've been transported across here. They haven't opted in for the newsletter. They've just been told about the newsletter. That these are people who didn't necessarily fill in the survey at all. In fact, I would say 99% of these people didn't fill the survey in. They just went through the sequence of 3 emails, and they completed the sequence. They opened at least one, and they haven't unsubscribed. That's the criteria. So look at this. Out of this screenshot I've just taken on the smaller one, we've had 4,500 people. That's where we're up to. 2,800 have opened. And look at the spam reports. 0. So I think what that does is pretty much satisfies me that at least the structure that I've set up and that we're working here is filtering out people who would complain, and we're getting a highly engaged audience. Because if you look at the open rate there, who opened that first welcome email at 61.5%, you know, give or take the Apple side of things.
That's huge. Yeah.
It's awesome, isn't it? I love seeing it.
All right, one Landon's campaign as well, we peeked at it, and he did a similar thing like the survey, and he actually had a super high response rate just on people wanting to go to the newsletter.
Yeah.
So I think, one thing he said that he saw when he was testing it was it's all about picking a very specific topic and then just really using that as like the thing of authority. So we had a few questions that were talking about, like, you know, the lead magnet that you used or the survey. Are you able to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, in fact, I'll show it to you. It's coming up in the details. Any other questions popped up just before I jump into that?
Yeah, quick question. On your initial campaign you showed that got to the 30,000, what was the spam rate on that?
Well, that was a bit harder because this feature wasn't available then when we did it.
What
but
feature?
it's still very low. It was completely under the radar for Beehive because otherwise they wouldn't have let us keep on sending. But yeah, it was totally fine.
Hey Nick, does it need to be a certain like e-commerce thing? Because I have been kind of working on the same thing too, only for college football fans, a particular conference, but I don't know if you'd be able to find a group like that through AudienceLab.
Oh, you would, for sure. I mean, it would probably be a custom model that you'd need to use for that. But as long as it exists online, you should be able to find it. I mean, unless it's like something where, you know, it's people that are GMs of college football places. I mean, I don't know too much about college football because I'm in Australia, but unless it's something where it's like there's only like a few hundred people that you really want to get on there, it can absolutely work.
Yeah, it's just that there's such a huge fan group for all of these NFL teams or college teams. And if we have insider info, it makes for a great newsletter. But I'm just like trying to figure out without doing a custom if there's such a thing in markets or.
Oh yeah, we absolutely could do that for sure. I mean, and if you're doing that, it's really just people that are celebrating those teams.
Yeah.
One thing I think we're actually doing this for the Medicare space at the moment, about to launch out a big Medicare newsletter, which is going to be super cool. Nick, I was wondering if you could like share a little bit about like what the first email looks like, because I think that was an eye opener for me, seeing how you actually included like a bit of a snippet, so like to see what kind of value people are getting.
100%. I'll show. I've got a screenshot of it here. So if we go into the details, I'm just going to now talk about the instantly part of this whole flow, right? So if you look here, this is again just one of the campaigns we've set. You can say this one's sent 18,000 emails. Open rate on that was 50%. And you can see that there's a range of emails that we've had. We're trying different types of things, and the survey one for us worked the best. As I just walked through this, just showing you instantly, you can see there's email number 1 going through, and then because that's step 1, and then step 2 is there, and step 3 is there, and you can see instantly allows you to split test different emails to see which one's going to get the best results. So that's what we're obviously doing there, right? And you can just again showing you the interface. This is what we're looking at in instantly, because it will tell you who's completed the sequence, who opened an email, who unsubscribed. So all that data is in instantly, which is why we can then filter out the people and get them over onto the Beehive newsletter. And again, just showing. Sorry, mate. Go ahead.
Quick question, Nick.
Yeah.
On the spam numbers, I understand on Beehive why it was 0, but they had already gone through a series of emails through instantly. How many spam reports did you have on the instantly side? Because that's where most of them might happen.
Yeah, so I think at the height of what we were doing, we had like 50 email accounts sending out of instantly, and they were all at 99 to 100% health. And if any of them dropped to like 98% or lower, we would just turn that off for a week and let the internal warming system put its score back up to 100. Whether the instantly scoring system is actually valid, I don't know. But anyway, I played their game right, and I kept all the email accounts were 98% and above.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And
one more question for you, Nick, before you go to the next section. Your initial audience size to get to that 30,000 subscribers, how big was your AudienceLab audience?
It was 100,000.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Because again, just to really emphasize what I was doing here, I was wanting to get responses, and I'm just about to show you that part. Because with the people who filled out the survey, we were then going direct to sale. But for building the newsletter, it was a volume thing I wanted. And so that's why, again, it was like, as long as they completed the sequence and opened at least one email, whether they replied to me or not about the survey, and they hadn't unsubscribed, they were the ones that formed the basis of the newsletter. But you can see here are people responding, right? If you look at that, the message underneath, yep, send the survey over. Here's another one. Yes, sent from my iPhone. Here's another one. Hi, Susan, I'm Ruth's mother. I will respond to your questions, right? So people were definitely responding to the survey, and we were then engaging with them and starting a conversation with them. But for the newsletter side of things, it didn't matter whether they replied to the survey or took the survey or not, as long as they, again, completed the sequence, opened at least one email, and didn't unsubscribe. That was it. All right, so the survey itself. So here is the first email that we sent out. And look, because it's I don't know where this recordings goes. I've just blurred out some of the details, right? But you'll basically look at, I've got some spin tags in the email, and it's basically saying, oh, you can't see the top of it, but it's a strength-based thing for women's health. That was the market it's in. And you can see I'm basically, the email's there. I'll read it out, whereas if you look at the masculine, hang on, let me go back. I'll give you some context. Just to get on my hobby horse here. If you look at the characteristics of masculinity, strength is one of them. If you look at the characteristics of femininity, its strength isn't there. I live with my wife and my daughter, who are both powerlifters. They're stronger than most men in the gym. So my daughter, who was 18, she's like, why isn't strength considered a female trait? I'm like, good question. So she did a research project on that for her uni thing. And we turned that real life thing into a survey. And we were essentially asking women, what do you think about strength? Do you think it is a feminine trait? Do you think it shouldn't be either or? It should just be people can be strong. And that was the gist of the survey, right? So I won't read all the details out, but there it is. And at the bottom, I want you to see this in the signature on the first email, we put a link. That's it. It wasn't a call to action. It was just the link to the website in the signature of the email. And we still had people clicking on that, going through and taking the survey and responding to us just from that link. So the reason I'm showing you that is that the advice I received from a guy who just runs a cold email agency was that he never puts call to action links, but he does put one in the signature, and they get a heap of clicks coming from that. So that's the kind of gist of the email that would go out. And do I have another one in the thing? Adam, I don't actually have another one that shows more of the content. I could probably go to one and get one after, but I hadn't taken.
That's all right. I think what we'll do is we can actually share some ones that we're doing with Landon and myself. It's really, I think, the framework. If you were to distill it, it's kind of leading in with a question, and then it just comes in with a kind of like a snippet of like, look, if you answer this survey, we'll actually, as a thank you, and kind of positioning it as like the prize, as a thank you, we'll send you the newsletter absolutely free. And then just having a snippet of like massive value. And I think the value content just needs to be hyper specific. So if this was like, one person asked if this could be done for B2B, and absolutely it could. We're actually looking at doing that at the moment. For a program we have, Exact Match. And yeah, essentially it's just about picking one very specific subject. What I like about yours is you kind of chose like a bit of a contrarian in terms of like, you picked something that was a bit thought provoking. And I think that works really well with the vertical, you know what I mean? Because these are people that, well, this is the weight loss niche, right? Was that the email you chose? It was weight loss?
No, in fact, it was all the things. So the audience was women in age 35 to 55 who had credit cards, who had a household income of over $90,000, who had an interest in weightlifting or strength training or gym or any kind of sport related stuff. So we didn't even really go weight loss, because we know that our assumption was that 80% of Americans are overweight anyway. And so if we went for that market we just know so many people in sport who still wanting to make sure they have weight loss, but we also have a strength training program combined, which is why we went for that. So we knew that they already had an interest in strength. And so we knew that this kind of survey is obviously contextually related to the audience we downloaded from AudienceLab in the first place. So,
amazing. Okay.
Right.
What's oh, sorry. Somebody have a question?
And well, you can see the line if you follow the randoms from the bottom up. Random. It goes random. It takes 2 minutes, and as a big thank you, we're providing participants with our premium evidence-based newsletter, and then we had that in there. So that was just again the first little dropping the clue that they're going to receive access to a newsletter. So even if they didn't ask for it or complete the survey, they still ended up on the newsletter.
Yeah, I like that, because I think like a lot of people are like, would see it and they'll be like, oh, yeah, this is cool, and they'll just forget. But then as long as you essentially have had them not subscribe or click and open, being able to then monetize that data, I think that's like the biggest key to B2C cold email. Like a lot of people, they'll come in and they'll think, okay, well, I'll send this email out to 100,000 people, 2% buy like a $97 product, I'll be, a millionaire before lunch. And it's like, it doesn't really work like that, because what happens is that first email you send if you sell something, like no one, I don't know the last time when I checked my email and it was a cold email and then I just bought on the spot. Basically the first email is just to get clicks and opens. And then you want to move the clicks and opens to like a separate platform like Beehive, which allows you to, mass send emails out. So I think that's a really interesting strategy. And I think it's super powerful. I mean, we know it works because we've already replicated it across like a few verticals. I think, let me just kind of, what I'll do is I'll hit pause, and then I'll jump right in.
You're going to upload what?
I'll upload this workshop. All right,
Okay.
Nick, Kevin.
Yeah, just a few other that more kind of tips that I used that made things even better. You can see that here's the survey that they went to. So if they did click through, they landed on this page. And you can see that there's a name and email field there. But the thing is, I've already got their name and email. So what I did was I configured the link for Instantly so it looked like this. And if any of you are using Instantly, this wasn't easily defined in their help docs. But if you want to look at the variables there, it'll carry across the first name. And if you've got it exactly like that is, so if you want to take a screenshot of that, that link structure, or whatever platform you're sending it to, because when I use this link in Instantly and they click, that's actually what they see when they get to the survey page. So they don't have to put their name and email in to start the survey, but essentially what they are doing is they were subscribing themselves and opting in to an email sequence that I then captured again through my email service provider. And that's how we were then going direct to sale in the emails they got after they signed up for the survey. Right, so that's just another little tidbit. You can see here, down in that link, in the bottom of the thing, you can see in that URL thing, that's where I added that. Though it just carried the first name and email variables across to the email form. Right, so there's that.
What oh, I was gonna say, Nick, I noticed in the survey, with you said like $200 of value on the newsletter. Is that basically saying like that's, well, like, are you saying the newsletter we usually charge for, we're going to give it to you for free? Is that the angle you're kind of going with there?
Yep, because if they go to the newsletter itself to subscribe, they can't subscribe. It's got a paywall.
Oh.
So again,
Can you go back a slide?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Right there where you said win a $2.99 voucher for that little blank, what did you put there? Just out of curiosity.
Because for the product that we sell.
Gotcha.
That's the name of the product. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's cool, because you can basically plug in your product as well. So like you could basically, if you have an e-commerce store and you were doing this, you could actually say like, hey, if you answer this question, you know, we'll give you a 30% off voucher for XYZ. And then you're actually producing sales at the same time.
Yeah, you give them the survey, and on the thank you page of the survey, you put them on a cart and you pre-fill the coupon code in that they've got. Or you set up the cart so it's already got the discount approved, and then you make sales on the thank you page after they fill in the survey.
Yeah, that's super clever. I like how kind of flips the scripts on that. It, like, you know, it makes it, you're not bothering them, you're basically like giving them something, and if it, you know, if it markets right, which sounds like this one was, it works really, really well.
Well, yeah, and we haven't yet got to trying it with custom builds, which I think obviously are going to be even better in terms of the targeting, and because being able to feed new audience nonstop across into the Instantly flow.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amazing. Any other questions specifically related to the newsletter in terms of you know, the copy, anything like that?
Yeah, hey, I do have a question. Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
Quick question. So the software that you use to validate the emails, what do you recommend to use?
Well, this is actually the thing, Adam, back to you, because you guys, since I've done this as well, I'm pretty sure you guys have verification all built into the AudienceLab platform now. So I'm not sure whether that step is even necessary anymore.
So
because I filter, there's a validation email column that Adam, correct me if I'm mistaken, but it does valid digital and valid ESP for business email validations. And I've been using that and getting pretty good results. That's why I'm just asking if it's necessary to go through validation, or what kind of results did you get? Like, did it kind of like trim up the last 3 that typically aren't valid, or I'm just a broad question.
So if I can chime in on that one real quick, the validation signals, how they're built is essentially, it's based on ESPs that we partner with directly. So say like MailChimp is an ESP, Klaviyo is an ESP, right? So we're pulling in data from those companies and that database, and that's giving us what we call email validation signals. Now, we might see an email, when we say an email is validated, we mean that email is active and live. Like, we know that person is real. However, some ESPs, like, you know, sending off Gmail or sending off somewhere else, it could be they could say that email is invalid. So I would always recommend going through and doing a second validation just to be safe. But what you can do is if you go through and just see anyone that's valid, and then you will sort through the date of validation, right? You should be able to then, you know, if you want to revalidate that list, you won't be paying a lot of money for the validation. It will just give you that peace of mind because there may be like 10% where you need to like knock off. But yeah, I mean, if it says it's a valid email, and then if it's in a date range of, I would say at least 90 days, where it's like, oh, we've clocked this email, we've seen this email in 90 days, you should be good to go. But I would still put it through a third-party validation tool just to be safe.
Sweet. Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I'm doing, but a little bit further back. I choose like four or 5 months. But what validation tool do you guys recommend, or do you use that's fairly cheap?
I would recommend Million Verifier is, I think,
sweet. Okay,
a really
we're
good
on the
one.
same page. That's what I'm pointing towards. Okay, thanks, Adam. Thanks,
No
Nick.
worries, man. Yeah, Million Verifier is really good. I mean, different validators are going to have different, like Million Verifier, I find is stricter than say like Never Bounce. So it's really about like, we're able to see if the email is real. We're able to see if this email is actually active. This person is receiving and sending emails, but different, I'm not a content expert, but you know, different sending platforms, like if you send from like Google domains or Outlook domains, it's going to be different the way that you send it. So yeah, I would always just go through. I think Million Verifier is a good one. Zero Bounce is good. I find it not as accurate as Million Verifier, to be honest. Million Verifier, I think, is super cheap. I'll find some other ones as well. Verification, like the more bulk, the cheaper it is, but we do have our own verification signals. So yeah.
But Nick, you said you didn't verify, right?
No, I did verify.
Yeah, no, Nick did verify.
You did verify.
So
okay.
I think if you're sending,
did you use Million Verifier?
I used one called, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Reoon, W-R-E-O-O-N.
R-E-O-N. Reoon.
Yeah, check out AppSumo for that one. They've actually got a fantastic deal. I did that. I bought the biggest level, and I was able to validate like 500,000 emails for like $300, and it was really accurate. And they can actually do the catch-all emails for like Yahoo, Comcast, Cox, those guys. They can somehow verify it, so it increased the level of my list by about 20%.
That's huge. Yeah, I mean, Million Verifier, you can get to, you can do like 500,000 for 250. So
it's a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, and you could probably get, I don't know, maybe I'll speak to them and see if we can do something there. But we already have our we already have email validation signals. It's just, it depends on if we say, for an example, I know a lot of companies who use like say it's like triple or it's 4 verified or whatever. That basically just means they're getting verified from, you know, maybe 3 different verification sources. So it really just depends on how you're sending the emails and what you're sending the emails off. Instantly, you're setting up Google accounts. So it's always best to do a second verification, no matter what anyone says. Just because always like strict as hell.
To give you an idea there too, everyone, what I found happened with Instantly, because we did use all Google, essentially, despite doing all of that, almost all the emails toward the end that were going to Outlook or Yahoo were going to spam. So if someone was an Outlook or a Yahoo user, if someone had a business domain or they were using Gmail, it all went through. So I ended up filtering down my list to just be, you know, to filter out Outlook and Yahoo. I had to do that in the end, but that could be an Instantly thing. It could be because we're only sending through Gmail. I don't know. And Adam, I know that you're kind of doing some work with others for different email platforms now anyway. That means we might not even need to do something like Instantly in the future. If you've got some kind of other email sending platform. Yeah,
we're working on it's not so much and I won't go too much into it, but it really isn't about the platform to send. So essentially what we built when we built our own ESP was we rebuilt like the same kind of configuration as something like MailChimp. But so, you know, we have like rotating IPs and things like that. The hard thing is just the domain. That's it really. So, you know, in theory, we can get a domain, warm it up in 2 weeks, put it through this ESP, and we can send out millions of emails. But if hundreds and thousands of people, report that same domain as spam, then Google's going to block it. So that's just like the thing you need to get around. So the thing about instantly I do like is you diversify the risk. So it's like a decentralized thing. But I think like once what we're working on is figuring out, if we're super confident in the list and we're like, all right, well, the spam rate is going to be below this score and we can keep it below this score, then we would look at like, okay, cool, we can actually send this to like an ESP. But yeah, that's what we're looking at the moment.
Yeah. All right, I've got only this slide and I'd like to finish up. Or was there another question?
So I just wanted to give some value. I don't know if you guys know this or not yet, but I have a bunch of domains, obviously, like everybody has, and I used to use Google Workspace, which typically charges what, $20 per account per month. And I've been going through GoDaddy directly and buying the domains and buying the Outlook Professional email with it that you get for $1.99 per month if you buy the 12-year plan. So I'm able to get, I think, like 10 to 20 more emails significantly cheaper at a 80% cheaper rate. So I don't know if you guys are doing that or you're specifically choosing Google because of a different reason, but I figured I'd throw that out there.
I mean, that's one of the hidden expenses in all of this is all the different email accounts that you need to get. And it may have gone up. I don't think it's $20. I think it's like $11.99 US or something per account or something in a workspace. But the thing is, instantly recommend that you don't send more than 30 emails a day per account. So if you're wanting to send 300 emails a day, there's 10 accounts. If you want to send 3,000 emails a day, there's 100 accounts. And so then you got to add the cost of having all those emails in there. Still, when you think about the cost to get a subscriber onto a newsletter, it's a pittance compared to running ads to try and get them to opt into a newsletter.
Absolutely.
So, right. But then if you've got a way that can do it, I just know that there's and who knows, because I hadn't done enough experiment, but there's a lot of people who go, no, the only way you should do cold email is by using Google. If you use Outlook or if you use Zoho or whatever it is, people have trouble. But then you don't know what kinds of emails they're sending. If people just go for if people are just a bit too lazy and they don't bother trying to actually add value and they just start going for, they write bad quality emails or they just try and go for a sale straight away. And all those things figure into someone's going to flag the emails as spam,
Just an observation, Google Workspace runs kind of a little bit of a marketing scam, not really, but it is. So when you see the pricing, it's $20 and something. If you go in and downgrade your account, each one of those emails actually costs $6 per month on the Google side. But they don't show you that. And so you literally have to pay for the higher and then downgrade the account the $6.
Yeah, right.
Oh, thanks.
All makes a big difference. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
So I had a
sorry. Yep.
I had a quick question in regards to the payment platform that's utilized in the back of the newsletter to autofill the coupon code. What payment gateway do you use?
So were you talking about Beehive, or are you talking about where I was? If someone went through and filled in the survey to get,
after they filled in the survey and you said you should automatically populated the coupon code.
Yeah.
For the payment gateway, what payment gateway are you using?
I'm just at the moment using Stripe and PayPal, and I've used two carts. I used to use DriveCart, but I don't anymore. I'm just using WooCommerce and with a something called Funnel Kit, and that's got all that kind of functionality built in. But any cart's going to be able to do it. Any good cart, anyway. Yeah. Anyway, so this is just a screenshot showing of when I download the CSV from Instantly. You can see here, it's easy to find the people who have unsubscribed. You just filter the column and get all the ones that are completed, email open, but no reply. Because you can also download the replies. That's how I would get my audience to upload them. And the trick that I did, and I did get a bit of help with this because I'm not that techie, but to get the audience directly into Beehive or wherever, I used a webhook to do it. So I use a software called Active Pieces, which is kind of like Make or Zapier. And what had happened is all I would need to do was copy and paste all the people into a new Google Sheet, and that would trigger an automation and send a webhook across to Beehive and add them all in one go. So that's the way I got them very quickly, because I could get my VA to do this. She would just go every day, download all the new people from instantly, filter by the people who fit that criteria, and then just copy paste those people into a Google Sheet, and boom, they'd all be in Beehive in, you know, all the 10 minutes of work for her to do. So that's how I did that. And again, this is the welcome email they got, and I'm just emphasizing the point. 61% open rate, 0 spam rate on that first welcome email that then brought them into.
I heard that somewhere. Yeah, I have the cash. And they don't,
And let me just click
they don't have cash.
All right, we're back. Oh, Nick, you just need to unmute yourself. Yep, there we go. Sweet.
Hi.
So yeah, Nick, I think just on that, the reason why you do that kind of thing through Beehive, because Beehive won't allow you to just upload a manual list that technically hasn't opted into a newsletter. So essentially what you're doing is you're bypassing that.
I think Nick is on mute.
Oh, Nick, you're on mute, sorry. Oh, okay. Hang on a second.
No,
you're good. I guess, yeah, just with Beehive, the reason why you do it through like HTTP is to basically bypass Beehive not allowing you to upload lists manually, right?
Yeah, so they allow you to upload 10,000 people, like just so you come with a list of 10,000. They are, and you know, they go through the standard verification things that platforms like that do. Where'd you get this list from? What page did they opt in on? That kind of thing. Once you get past 10,000, then you've got to start. It's not an automatic thing. Then you're having to go through this rigmarole all the time. Whereas because it's coming through the API, you can just like upload 1,500 a day or 500 a day or whatever it is through the API, and they just land in the account, no problem at all.
Okay, yeah, that's powerful. Well, sweet. All right, look, guys, we might start wrapping up there. What I'll do.
Are you going to show the survey?
I didn't have a screenshot of it, but it was 4 questions, and I didn't really think it was
okay.
The survey, because it was just like, you know, yeah.
It's a very simple survey. I mean, I wouldn't overthink that part. Like the survey, literally it's just 3 questions related to your business. And I mean, you know, make it where it's actually going to help you as well. And people can sniff out if you're just setting a survey to try and get their lead. So have questions that are well thought out. All right, sweet. What I'll do.
Quick question. I just wanted to ask Nick, for the newsletter, once you get them into the newsletter, what is your strategy like there? How often do you mail that list? Is it value, and then offer? Just curious on how do you monetize?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another, like it's a deeper topic, right? Because newsletters can serve all kinds of different purposes. But again, it's value. You're wanting people opening that email all the time. And, you know, the way we did it was once a month, we had a direct offer for our particular service. But the rest of the month, what we were looking for was either promoting other newsletters or taking on sponsors for the newsletter, using Beehive's monetization tools, or building up our own affiliate relationships with other people. So we've done it for a range of things, but again, the whole point of having it not as our brand as the newsletter was we chose that strategically because by it not being us and being a third party, it could recommend us and sell our product, but then we could sell other products that wouldn't make sense for our brand to sell. So that's the reason why we did it. But I mean, gosh, if you build up a big newsletter and you ran a survey and you found that even within your list of people on the newsletter, people had different interests, there's no reason why you couldn't do bi-weekly and do one email that's focused on this particular issue and another email that's focused on another. You know, but that is a totally different topic that's, you know, and I want to get more expertise in doing that too, because once you've got the asset and you've got that going, that the best ways to monetize that newsletter. You know, we all want to get better at doing that.
Yeah, and you can sell the newsletter for a decent chunk of change too.
100% you can, yeah.
I don't know what the multiple is exactly, but like Landon, he built his to 5,000 and like flipped it to like, I think it was like 5,000-10,000 in like 30 days.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a small thing. And that was like, yeah, I mean, that wasn't many subscribers at all. All right, what we're gonna do is we're about to run out of time. So well, Nick, thank you so much for jumping in. This has been tremendously valuable.
Pleasure.
What I'm gonna do is show you guys where we're putting recordings now, as we basically are gonna chuck them on YouTube, make them super easy to access. If you look here, if everyone can see my screen, essentially on AudienceLab.io, we've got our workshops, and I'll send a link out through email. And basically, you've got, you know, you've got like the recording, but then we go through and we actually get all the notes from here as well. So it's pretty rad. So we'll send that out and I'll add that through so you guys can watch that. Finally, you know, if anyone's here and is anyone here in an agency? Let me just quickly, let me know if you're an agency. Well, yeah, 5 to 10 multiples of annual recurring revenue. Damn. Because if you're an agency and you haven't checked out DAS yet, I would seriously consider doing it. If you guys don't know, essentially, Nick, a bunch of these other guys that we get to speak and talk about what they're doing, they're in a program called DAS, which stands for Data as a Service. And essentially what it is we license you all the data you need to be able to do exactly what Nick's doing. And there's like 50 plus models that we've seen work extremely effective inside of DAS. So this is our one pager, kind of walked you through exactly how DAS works. If you go down to here, there's a breakdown of if you are not currently inside of AudienceLab, there's a breakdown of every single thing we have, from pre-mades, keyword builder, custom models builder, B2B builder, subpixel, enrichment, all that stuff there. So if you want to know more about that, what we're doing is with our workshops, we actually have Nathan and I think Mark and Adrian as well. Basically, they clear out 2 days of their calendar for really Thursday and Friday, strictly for if anybody wants to discuss DAS after the workshop or has questions or anything like that. I mean, it's a sweet deal. And I always say this, we're not trying to get too many people in DAS too quickly, if that makes sense. So it's like, it's something where it's like, we may stop letting people in very soon. It just depends on how it's growing. And, you know, we want it to be evenly distributed where everybody can make quite a lot of money doing it. So what I'll do is I'll whack in this link. And if you want to get on DAS and you have questions about DAS or anything like that, I'll chuck it in here and just book with Nathan or one of the guys. There should be calls available for tomorrow and the next day. Nathan, I'm going to use like the main DAS one. And what I'll do is I'll chuck in the one sheet as well. I mean, we actually tell people not to do proposals because, you know, you don't really need to, but this is essentially a proposal that we created for DAS, just so you know what you're getting into. I mean, there's a lot of aspects to it. And it can seem a little bit overwhelming, but the main central theme is that it's just about building something cool, and it's designed for agency owners. So if you're not an agency owner, you can still book a call, but they may advise you to do something different. We do have other things you can get into. If you're looking to start an agency, then it's ideal, but definitely check it out. So I'll chuck the link inside of here as well if you want to check out DAS. And yeah, so we do these workshops every oh, okay. Sorry guys, the link I just posted is if Nathan's link as well. I'll share this one here. This one's going to go directly to Nathan, who's going to be on standby today. So he's actually blocked out a few spots today if you have any questions. At the evens after this workshop. So I'll chuck that link in there. Cool. All right, guys. Recordings are going to be at AudienceLab.io /workshop. Where basically every time we do a workshop, we grab the recording, we get the transcript, make it look all pretty, and we upload it to the blog so you can see it. It'll also be on our YouTube, on AudienceLab. I'll send this out via email. We're also inside the school. The school is, we're putting content in there, but workshops, we want to be able to share these with as many people as possible because it's pretty awesome stuff. Now we do these every Wednesday. We have been doing them Thursdays of late, but every Wednesday is when these go down. Unless we have like a special guest like Nick, or we need to change on Thursday. So if you're not on the email list or anything like that, then just audiencelab.io/workshops. I'll if you're here, I'll be sending out an email to you with the recording link, so you don't have to worry. Sweet. All right, I'm gonna wrap up there, guys. Hope everyone has a good rest of their day. Let me chuck in the link one more time so it doesn't get lost. And yeah, thank you so much, Nick. This is awesome, dude.
Yeah, thanks. It was great.
And it's not just
Thank you,
something like sounds good in theory either. Like you literally showed Landon, and then the guy sold a newsletter in like 4 weeks. So
look, anyone, we won't do it, but all you have to do is go figure out what have you got to do what would the cost per newsletter subscriber be? When you're adding that on, you've got 30,000 people or 5,000 people on a list or whatever it is, when you figure out what the cost of a newsletter subscriber is, and then you look at what you can build one with this quickly, it's why they're assets that you can either hold on to or you can sell to someone else, especially if it's an engaged audience.
What are you using to generate the content? Are you doing all the content with AI, or do you have?
It's a mixture of AI and human intelligence. So
sometimes that's artificial.
Human intelligence, what's that? No.
It's not free, I can tell you that much.
All right, guys. Wrap it up here. Nick, maybe I'll create a thread in school if other people have questions too, and if they want, consulting help on building their newsletter or anything like that.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to have a chat.
Sweet, guys. Well, there's another model to add to your repertoire, right? If you're using the data and you want to figure out how to monetize, how to make money, you can create a newsletter. Great example is like, let's say Medicare right now. We're creating a newsletter all about Medicare. The content, we don't know anything about Medicare, but we're finding just topics to talk about really. And as we grow that, what we're going to be able to do is then just start generating leads for that newsletter. And that's an infinite lead source that you can just tap into whenever you want, which is pretty sick. So thanks for joining today, everyone. And I'll post the recording out. And yeah, I'll create a little thread on the school for you, Nick, as well, for if anyone wants to like hire you or talk about the stuff newsletter. Sweet, guys.
Good.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.